Hi, I'm Mike with the School of Self-Reliance. This video is done in response to comments that I've received off of our Batoning is Stupid and I'll Prove It video. And so what we're going to do is I figured I would pour myself a drink, we'd talk about the comments, and I would make a challenge. The challenge is very simple. If you can come up with a reason, a good reason, okay, a scenario where batoning is necessary, then I'll disprove it on video. Yep, I'll disprove it. I'll make a video disproving the scenario. Because I think everybody missed the point of the video. Batoning is stupid. Yes, I showed you how to split wood with a wedge. And that wasn't even really the point of the video. The point of the video was that the act of wood splitting is more often than not unnecessary. And I got a lot of responses from guys who said, let's see, you know, if you're cold and you're wet, okay, you're cold and you're wet and you need to make a fire, you know, then you'll have to baton. Well, if I'm cold and wet, why would I have to baton? Why would I have to split wood? Where am I going to get this chunk of wood that needs to be split? Where am I going to get it? Wood doesn't come in saw-cut pieces out in the woods. It comes in whole trees. It comes in fallen trees, fallen limbs, so on and so forth. So my argument is that if I'm cold and I'm wet and I need to build a fire, the wood that's around me is going to be in large pieces that you're not going to stand them up and then, you know, baton your knife through them in the first place. You're going to have to sit and cut those up and then baton them. And by the time you've done all that, I will have already built the fire without ever having had to baton or split anything. That's my argument. What are you going to do? Find a fallen tree when you're cold and wet, cut it up with a saw, sit it down, split it up, shave it up, start a fire. By the time you've done that, I will have already built a fire. I'll have done it out of branches and so on and so forth. And I got some other comments. Like, what if the wood is wet? Well, let's pour a drink. Tennessee honey. Many of you have questioned the alcohol in the background. I'm not a big drinker, but I do like to entertain people. So I figured I'd pour a drink and we'd talk about these comments. So, you know, the cold and wet thing, I think I've just answered that. Everybody talking about these comments, and quite frankly, the biggest thing that I've been getting is not a rebuttal of why you need to split wood. But I've been getting, you know, you're an arrogant jackass. I've been getting, you know, basically F you. You don't know what you're talking about. You know, you're, let's see, another, you're an effing idiot, another in a sea of, you know, crap survival channels. Well, you can call me all the names in the world, but it doesn't change the fact that what I'm telling you is right. Now, I've got a lot of guys on here who said, you know, Mike, you come across like an ass, you're telling people, you know, that they're idiots. No, actually in the video I didn't say that you were an idiot. I said the act of batoning is stupid. I didn't call you stupid. I said the act is stupid. And I said that those who teach it as a valuable skill are doing something stupid. And I may or may not have in the other video alluded to that some of those people were stupid, the ones who were propagating this myth, because that's all it is, it's a myth. And in some upcoming videos, we're going to prove that it's a myth. I'm going to make a video where we have one person baton wood while I make a fire without it, and we'll see who gets done first and with less effort. And then we're going to simulate some other scenarios. We're going to simulate me getting wet, falling in a creek and having to build a fire. But I won't build one. I'll build three using 3 different methods. While wet, while cold, while it's snowing outside, while it's 30 degrees. Because I hear all of that. Everybody says, oh, well, this will happen and that'll happen. You have to do some mental gymnastics in order to get yourself into that circumstance in the first place. You have to figure a way into it. And again, in order to split wood, you have to prepare the wood for splitting. You don't find it in the woods already prepared to be split up. It has to either be chopped in half or sawed in half first and then split. And my argument is that by the time you do all of these activities, by the time you get around to the splitting, I could have already built the fire and never split anything. As I said in the videos, wood trees start out thick, get thinner as they go up. Branches start thick, get thinner as they go out. Those can be snapped up. We can always shave wet bark off. We can always sit and make these things. We can do that. We can shave the wet bark off and shave the wood up into feather sticks. So, and there's other methods as well. But if you have a way, a scenario by which you can say, I must baton. This is why baton, splitting is valid, splitting with a knife. Then I want to see it. That's the challenge. If you can come up with a scenario that you believe the batoning is necessary, that splitting that wood with your knife is necessary, tell me. Describe it, and I'll disprove it, because it isn't. It doesn't exist. And everybody says I'm coming off as arrogant when I say, and I don't care who tells you different. I don't. And, I got one guy here. Let's see. His name is Jason Timmermans. He commented. He says that I come off like an arrogant jackass, that I don't know the first thing about what I'm talking about. And he says that, my advice is contrary to many great survival instructors, and I won't name all of them. Well, that's true. What I'm telling you is contrary to what a lot of people in the survival community say. He says that by nature, because these other people say it, makes what I'm saying invalid. Well, I say this to you. In the 1940s and 1950s, doctors used to make commercials telling you that cigarettes were good for you. They even used to recommend specific brands that were healthier. They didn't mean they were right, but they did it. And they propagated that and told people for years that cigarettes were harmless and even healthy for you. And that some brands were better than others, healthier. The same thing with beer and other things like that. There's been all kinds of stuff. And obviously, I'm not against alcohol and I'm not against smoking because I used to be a smoker. But the point is, there's all kinds of things people used to say or that people have propagated for long periods of time that aren't true. Look, this whole splitting thing was a very limited, strange application that suddenly looked cool, that suddenly became some kind of faddy little trend. But it escapes the fact that by the time you get to the point where you can baton a piece of wood, you've done enough work to have already built the fire. And you're not splitting this wood to feed a log furnace, a wood furnace inside your tent, or maybe you are. And in that case, if you brought the tent and the furnace, you should have brought an axe and a wedge. But if you're splitting this up with your knife with the idea, you're doing it like you're trying to feed a wood burning stove, well, you're not. You're feeding a campfire. There's almost no work that the fire won't do for you. If you go up north into Canada, guys will tell you that you should never go into the northern Canadian bush in the wintertime without an axe. Well, many of those guys who say that are the same guys who then say batoning wood with a knife is necessary. Well, if you're the guy who advocates carrying an axe, why are you batoning wood with a knife? If the axe is so damn necessary, you would have already had it. So that's an invalid point. And then it also begs another question. Is your advice about the axe correct? Because I don't think it is. Most of these northern bushcraft people will say, never go out without an axe. Well, a saw will do far more work for you with less effort, less weight, less space, less everything. And you can fell the tree faster with a saw. You can cut it up faster. You can limb it faster with a saw than you can with an axe. So the person who's saying you can baton with a knife, but never go in the woods without an axe are the same people, I say to you that not only is their batoning advice bunk, but also their advice about the axe is bunk. So my point is, with all this negative comments that I've gotten, and I've gotten quite a few, and let the hate flow. If you have hate in your heart, let it out. I'm perfectly willing to take it. Everybody can say that I'm coming off like an arrogant jackass. I don't care. I'm trying to put out something that's right for you. That's all. Just telling you the truth. And a lot of these guys are saying, oh, well, these manufacturers designed that knife with batoning for batoning, specifically for batoning. As a matter of fact, I've gotten a lot of comments from people who say, my knife was specifically designed for batoning. No, it wasn't. I don't care who told you that. I don't care if the guy who made it told you that. No knife was ever designed specifically for batoning. Let me tell you why. A wood-splitting wedge is what you split wood with. It is made out of a lower carbon alloy. It is hardened to a maximum of 50 to 54 on the Rockwell scale. Very soft by comparison to a knife. If you take a piece of 1095 that's been hardened to 58, I don't care if it's a quarter-inch thick or not. It might have been designed with this in mind. It might have been designed with splitting in mind, meaning they beefed it up to make it more survivable. But it was not designed for it. That's a ludicrous statement. And I've gotten dozens of guys online who are telling me that their knife was designed for batoning. If it was designed for batoning, it wouldn't be any good as a cutting tool. It might have been designed with it in mind, but it was not designed for it. And the metallurgical part of this, as far as how the steel is constructed and what kind of steel is best for what, yes, many of these knives are infinitely survivable through these tasks, and some more so than others, okay? The overall message I'm trying to get across is that the act itself, 99.999% of the time, is totally and completely unnecessary. That is the part I consider stupid. And yes, I think if you propagate the myth, I think you're doing something stupid. Okay? If you propagate this, then it is doing something stupid. But I'm not calling you, my viewer, stupid. If you're one of those people who vehemently defends this, because I got to tell you, there's a lot of people got some serious emotional investment in this thing, okay? It's like a damn child or something. And I literally must have smacked their baby or something. They act like this is their woman, and I've insulted, her sainted honor. And, that's fine. If that's how you feel about it, great. And there's a lot of guys out there saying, oh, well, you don't care about your followers. No, I care a lot about my followers. But look, I'd rather have 10 followers who want it to learn something and know what they're doing than have 1,000 blithering idiots. Much rather, okay? All I'm trying to do is put across some simple truths. If you like them, great. If you don't, that's fine too. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. And I'm good with that. Look, guys, I'm not a paid-for reviewer. I get almost nothing from anyone for doing this. I get a lot of grief sometimes, but I don't get money for this. I don't get any of those things. What I get is what I want. Okay, I'm trying to push out useful survival knowledge. And I had another guy, hang on just a second, tell me that I am the laughing stock of the bushcraft community, that people know about me and they laugh at me. I'm not part of the bushcraft community, so laugh away. I really don't care. People often laugh, especially fools, often laugh at things they don't understand and aren't smart enough to get. And that's fine. Laugh to your heart's content. I'm not part of the bushcraft community. I'm not a bushcrafter. I'm a survivalist, dyed-in-the-wool survivalist. That's all that I am. And I try to put out the knowledge that I've gained over 30 years, okay, near 30 years of doing this. I have taught hundreds and hundreds of people all over this country and into Canada. And in places like Temagami National Forest, up in Canada, so on and so forth, the Appalachian Mountains, I've been all over. And in very, very dire circumstances. Not the classes, mind you. But I have survived horrible circumstances, and I mean real life and death circumstances. I talked about a blizzard one time, and I've been in a couple of other really, really bad circumstances. And I'll tell you what, nothing that I will ever tell you will be BS. It won't be trendy, fatty, or anything like that. It's only going to be one thing, what I know to be real. And anybody who is so emotionally invested in an idea that, they act like I have literally killed their dog, stole their Bible and rode off on their wife, is you're too attached to something. Let it go, okay? Let it go. Anyway, look, I do have a challenge for you. If you can come up with a reason, put it down in writing, and I'll disprove it, because it doesn't exist. You can come up with a reason for batoning, because there isn't one. Anyway, I hope you like what we do. I'm Mike from the School of Self-Reliance. Like us on Facebook, watch our videos, share our videos, like our videos, help us out on Patreon to get some new camera equipment. And again, thanks for watching. Have a good night.